Hey, and we're going. It's the Tara Show.
It's actually
There's
on
the
time.
public domain music, and we're on time with no technical issues. Whoa, ho, it's the Tara Show. Yeah,
Mm,
it
mm,
is.
mm.
Hello. Hi. Hi. It is Tuesday, May the 27th. It's almost June. Can't you believe it?
Oh, I know. That's our lives. Wait a minute. Now you just cut out.
I'm. Wait, no. Hi. There, wait, I have to mute. There. I had to mute the feed from the. Is this better? Am I here?
Yeah, we can hear
Am I
you.
happening?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So anyway, it's May 27th. It's almost June. We made it. We're making it through this year that we didn't think we'd be able to survive.
Wow.
I'm Tara Dublin. She's Tara Devlin. I am in Portland. She is in New York. And how was your Memorial Day weekend? Did you rage in all caps at anyone? Or call them scum or anything like that. I don't think
No,
you did.
I didn't.
No,
I was kind of taking a break.
That wasn't a Democrat who did that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was like trying to take a break from Trump, but you can't help it because every time you turn around, there's another offense, and I'm sure everyone saw his Memorial Day message, which really pisses me off. Besides everything, it's just he is such a disgrace to everyone who ever fought, bled, and died for this country. He is a draft dodger. He's a tax cheat. He's a parasite of the most incredible form. I mean, you got to give him credit. He really is the most successful and prolific con man in human history. That's for sure.
He really is.
And
he really
but
is.
that's about it. He's a con man, and I what more than the rage against him, I feel it towards the voters, the people who voted for him.
Of
That's
course.
because a pig is a pig. I mean, I don't want to offend pigs. A parasite is a parasite,
Right.
and it is what it is. Birds gotta fly, a fish has gotta swim, and a con man
Yeah,
has gotta
and
grift. But
gotta
people,
grift.
people who voted for him after what we saw too. I mean, I don't give them any credit for coming to see the light. We should have all seen the light when he came down the escalator, calling Mexicans rapists. That should have been
Right.
it for people. And
I don't know why
they could
it
have
wasn't.
recognized. Yeah, they should have
I mean,
recognized
we do
it.
know why.
Yeah, it's racism. That's the bottom line. So
Yes,
whatever
it
you
is.
slice it, however you try to excuse it, that's what it is. And that's why the
is.
Democrats have to, and it really does come down to messaging, because the Democrats have to call this. I don't know. That's why I say they got to listen to this show, our shows, Political Voices Network, because it's not just
That's
because
right.
I'm on it or we're on it and we're doing this. It's because it's so necessary for the Democrats to finally, to get to grow a spine, to fight unapologetically, to call this out. I mean, there's no time for, let's meet in the middle here. There is no middle anymore.
There isn't. There isn't. And, Democrats have always wanted to be able to work with everyone on the other side of the aisle and be able to say that this was a true bipartisan effort when they pass a bill. And, I mean, that went out forever ago. I mean, when Mitch McConnell declared that the Republicans were going to do nothing but obstruct Barack Obama, there's the,
There
and
you go.
if you're going to beat somebody at their own game, you got to play on their field. And so, steal from their playbook.
Yeah.
And because what they're doing, despite the fact that we don't like it, what they do works, and they
right.
get they get their base motivated,
Right.
and ours get disenfranchised.
Yep.
And there's always this complaint of a lack of a unifying message, a lack of a clear leader, when it's clear that our unifying message is obstruct Trump. I mean, at every turn,
Right.
regardless of what it is, from an appointment that you think doesn't matter, like, I don't know, ambassador to France, except when you vote to let a convicted felon,
Yeah. Of course.
a criminal,
It's a disgrace.
Cory Booker, what are
yeah.
you doing?
That's how we're we're sending our best, right? They're not. Isn't that what that pig said? I mean, excuse me, pigs. Parasite said. They're not sending their best. They're not sending you. Like that's the best we got are the Trumpansies and the Nuremberg rallies. No, it's not.
But
I'm sorry.
for those of us, however, who grew up in the New York area in the 70s and 80s, we already knew what Trump was. As a
That's it.
child, I
That's
knew.
right. Yep.
And I got that messaging from my parents because he was either always on like Liz Smith on Channel 4 News for being a chauvinist
Right.
playboy who showed up at some party and all the women
Yeah.
were around
Oh,
him,
please.
or for something that happened
Just
in
a
Atlantic City. And I remember my father, who is like, imagine if Donald Trump drove a truck in Jersey. Like, that was my dad. And there's a lot. And I think that's one of the reasons why I personally attacked when Donald Trump was like out there all the time, because he talks like my father talks, and he's narcissist, like, and bullies people and belittles women, and all of the terrible things. Maybe not as racist, but still very much a bully. And so that's why I think I had such a visceral reaction to him when he declared and everything. But as a kid, my parents didn't really talk a lot of shit about people. But so if they said anything negative about somebody, it would always get my attention. And then one of the first times I ever heard my father use the F word is he saw Donald Trump in the Daily News. He goes, God, that guy's a fucking slumlord. And I learned two new words that day. So
why did he say that, though? I mean, he is a slumlord.
Article,
Yeah.
some kind of article. I don't remember what it was, but that he said slumlord I thought was interesting. And my mother saying, ugh, he just makes my skin crawl. And that's enough. That's enough.
Scummy.
But
he's a disco prowling carnival barker. That's all he is.
Disgusting. Like if a game of 3-card Monte could put on a cheap suit and set up a table outside of Trump Tower. But it really doesn't take much. Like if you are a person who can see things pragmatically and clearly, any photo of Donald Trump should make your skin crawl from the 70s and 80s, because he just looks like
he's gross.
He's smarmy. He looks like he doused himself in like really cheap drugstore cologne. Just hey, like two wild and crazy guys, but for real.
Yeah.
Always just cheesy and smarmy and ill, like a joke, like just the biggest joke.
He was a joke.
And to this day, you look back and you're like, why? What irritated me in 2016 was people dropping out so fast after a poll or a primary or a debate where he was, he had people who put occasionally, like slowly putting up better and better numbers, and they just started dropping out really without a fight. And it's interesting, and I feel like the propaganda and the blackmail probably started on the campaign trail, where he could sidle up to somebody at a debate and go, I could say such and such. I'm not gonna, but I could. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe. I guess. I don't know. I mean, he was funded by, of course, the Russians were helping him. There's no doubt.
Of course.
And because they hacked the RNC, as we know, and never released anything. Just
everybody forgets that glaring detail from 2016 that really should matter a lot, in that they never released what they found out about the Republicans and just went after the Democrats. Shocking. So I'm so glad that to this day we can rely on Hillary Clinton for a good risotto recipe. Really glad that because, what did they really find? Not a whole lot. And
nothing.
So it's nothing. And so it's just, and the Comey bullshit and like all of the things that happened in 2016 that just
waste money and time, especially now with Joe Biden. I mean, that's what I was thinking about this yesterday. It was really getting me mad and because I was talking to my aunt and I was talking about, the crypto bribe fest that this piece of shit had.
God.
And
Mike Johnson claimed he didn't know about.
I know. Well, that's what they say. Oh, it's on his
you.
own time. It's on,
no.
So he's meeting with foreign people, like half of the people there were foreigners, and you know that because they bought this meme coin, which has no value in of itself except for access to this dirtbag. And they know that they're foreigners because they bought it on an exchange that doesn't allow Americans. It's only for foreign investors in crypto. Crazy one of these fuckers was masked, wasn't revealing his identity.
That's a weak.
Yeah, and
so weak.
This piece of shit came in on a Marine One. So they're saying it's on his own time, but he flew in, courtesy of the taxpayers, on Marine One and stood behind a podium with the seal of the President of the United States.
Oh,
And
no one is
these-
allowed to do that except the President of the United States. It's just,
well-
that's so.
Well,
freaking
no,
wrong.
he's there
You can do it in the press room.
Well, they're saying he's doing it on his own time. So why are we giving him a ride? Why? And I mean, these are just petty
Because he's
details.
always the president, regardless of
That's
who, he's
it,
always
exactly.
On our
There's no
time.
time. There's no time off.
Always our time.
Could you imagine if Joe Biden, if they said, I mean, that's, if anything, any of the Democrats did anything near this, but that these dirtbag Republicans have the nerve to say the words Biden crime family, and they're still at it. They're still going after Biden. How dare you?
Ridiculous.
And like you were saying with Hillary Clinton, that they went up her ass with a fine-tooth comb, and they spent millions and millions of dollars. And I'm going back to like Whitewater the first time with Kenneth Starr. They spent $25 million in 1990s money going up her ass, and they found nothing. Because if they had, there would have been indictments. There would have been anything. And he just closed it down, saying, "Oh well, we didn't find anything." And they go
Same
on
thing
their
with
merry
Benghazi.
way. Yeah, exactly.
11 hours of testimony.
Disgusting.
11 hours the woman sat, and she was like, "What else you got?" She owned
Didn't
them
break a
for
sweat.
11 hours.
Right?
Not even.
And these
They
dirt
can't
bags.
do any. No,
Ugh.
and so, and what's also frustrating is that everybody forgets that Michael Steele, who was the former chairman of the GOP, admitted that they fabricated all of this stuff and went after her in the 90s because they saw what a threat she was.
They
And,
made a
like-
whole cottage industry after attacking Hillary. Everything, but it's all
So-
this misogynist shit, like
Of course it is.
the Hillary nutcracker they were selling around Christmas time and so. I mean,
It's unreal.
fucking can't take it.
It is
I can't-
unreal. When you go back and you look at how they treated her, when they are clearly scared and threatened
Right.
by her ability, and just because she has lady parts and not man parts, that's the only reason that they were, if she was a man, because obviously her husband, they had a tremendous respect for her husband, and he went very far in politics, as far as you can go in American politics. No, right? And no
Well,
different. She's-
respect. They have no, you're giving them too much credit. They are
Well,
disingenuous.
we're also talking about the 90s versus what they would do.
True.
If we had the internet
They weren't-
back then like we do now, it'd be totally different, and he probably wouldn't have gotten reelected. But anyway, what I'm saying is, if Hillary Clinton was Bill Clinton, if Hillary Clinton was Henry Clinton, she'd be president right now, or whatever. right?
Probably.
Or if
yeah.
Kamala, right?
Or
It's just-
Harris.
it is
Yeah.
right, exactly. It's the same exact thing. It is the same exact thing, and now everyone's talking about Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg,
Oh, well, he's
poised
gay.
to run maybe in 2028, and what it says is that this country's ready to elect a gay man before they're ready to
Are
elect
they?
a woman. I don't know. I don't know because Pete
I don't know.
Buttigieg will go on Fox and he'll go
Yeah.
on the MAGA podcasts, and they don't fuck around with him. They don't belittle. I mean, Trump does. Trump is the one who Trump recently slammed his marriage and said it's not a real marriage because he has a husband. But so does Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is married to a man.
Oh, really?
So-
I didn't know that. Interesting.
Oh, yes.
He's one
is
of their
an
human
interesting
shields.
fact.
I see. Oh, wow.
So yes, it's also like a Tim Scott and a Byron
Yeah.
Donalds, and
They're
you
just
know,
a
if
human
you put-
shield for the bigotry. That's
right?
all.
We've got one. We've got a gay. So
Yes.
that makes it all right.
Yeah, they got a
No,
gay, they got a
because-
trans, they got Caitlyn Jenner. They got
But they
their
don't-
token black
they-
people.
They don't, but they still dead name Caitlyn Jenner. They,
Oh yeah,
I
well
won't.
those are the maggots.
I will.
Yeah, the maggots.
But maggots will dead name Caitlyn.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just curious. I'm curious as to where Nancy Mace and Riley Gaines think Caitlyn Jenner goes to the bathroom when they're all at Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, they wouldn't they wouldn't bother her. They wouldn't because it's all a performance. So yeah.
It's the Trumpocracy. They're all
Uh-huh.
Trumpocrats,
Yeah.
and it's fine. And it's just, And it's incredibly frustrating to thinking people like ourselves, because they basically recycle the same bullshit over and over. Just maybe
Yep.
they repackaged it a little bit, or maybe they changed the name of the player, but it's still the
Oh
same.
yeah.
And what we should be doing, as you were saying earlier, is forcing the mainstream media to really focus on Donald Trump's mental
Right. Yep.
health, or lack thereof. And he proved it over and over just this weekend alone. Now,
Mm.
one of the things that we just learned recently is that the White House basically has scrubbed all of his public comments and transcript except for his inauguration speech.
Yes.
They've taken it all away because it's word salad trapped
makes
in
no sense.
Jello. That
Yep.
makes no sense.
Sharks and windmills and bird cemeteries
batteries and
right.
so anybody who saw his graduation speech at West Point, that's just an insult to the military.
Oh
Also,
my!
is to have
Well,
him
yeah.
there.
That made
to
me
speak to the graduates,
Yeah.
and the future, those who are going to go out there and put their lives on the line to
Yeah.
protect our country, and they
That
get
made me-
cadet bone spurs.
Oh, forget it. And talking about
and-
trophy wives and
Talking about trophy, and he was talking about some friend of his who has
who got a
trophy wives, and
and
goes off
trophy
on these-
wives. It never works out.
off
Not
on
like
these
his fucking
tangents.
trophy wives. But the thing
And-
that pissed me off about that, one second, is just that the cadets there and now the lieutenants that are graduating from West Point, if they behaved anywhere near what that dirtbag did or how he behaves, they wouldn't have lasted. They would have been expelled from the school, from West Point, because they teach, if you lie, if you are dishonest in any way, if you don't have
you
the
rape
character,
somebody.
yeah, if you are below, if you have a low character, they don't want you. You are gone
Right.
from there.
Or if you have a low IQ, you can't even do the
Right.
work.
Right. I mean, it's just
and
incredible.
if you, I don't know, got your dad to buy you 5 Vietnam deferments because
Right.
you're a giant fucking
he's a
spineless
yeah.
coward. And it's just an insult to anybody who has served, anybody who is a student at West Point, not just the graduates,
know.
but every
Those
single
poor, yeah.
student at
God.
West Point. It's an insult. It is
It
an
is.
insult to
It
the
is.
selflessness and the sacrifice it takes to serve in the military. And that he stood up there and just went off script. And he also
think-
can't read from a teleprompter, because there was another clip of him from over the weekend reading from a teleprompter, and he messed up the words when he was doing the thing. I think maybe it was when he was at Arlington. He couldn't read off the teleprompter. He can't. He's just gone.
He's
right?
fuck him. Oh, I hope.
And
Oh
so-
God, I hate them so much, legally and
so
peacefully.
People are
God.
starting to bring back the conversation about the 25th Amendment. But if they did that, then we're stuck with J.D. Vance.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
really
He's worse.
what that means. What that means, first of all, MAGA hates J.D. Vance, which is interesting.
Oh.
And he's the least popular vice president
Yeah,
in
he's
American
gross.
history. He is still
Well, that's-
underwater ratings approval-wise. He is in
Well,
the
that gives me
negative.
hope, at least, that people
Right?
see that. But anyway. yeah.
Right? But people are also starting to see what Trump is, and it's thanks to the tariffs, because he's got the lowest approval rating of any president ever.
Yeah, because he doesn't know what the
Not just
fuck
at
he's
100.
doing. Right.
He's
I
even
mean,
lower than he was from his first term. He's
Yeah.
such a loser. He can lose to himself.
Well, he's worse this time.
Yes.
He's unfettered. It's like everything that the Democrats warned, everything Harris warned. Imagine Trump in the Oval Office looking over his enemies list, and that's
He's
what he's
doing it.
doing. And they're not doing anything for the people. In fact, this is like Donald Antoinette over here, accepting bribes, riding around. I mean, the insult of taking a Saudi plane too, like as if we
Yep.
suck here. We just made our planes are just shit, And then this dirtbag flying around in that Saudi bucket of spy apparatus. What a dirtbag!
Yeah.
I hate these people with the heat of 1,000 blazing suns. I mean, but
I mean, yeah.
the people who voted for him. I don't know. I keep hearing, well, you got to welcome them. I will welcome them, but not without some kind of, recognition of what they have done. Otherwise,
there's
it's
a
going to happen
meme
again.
Going
Mhm.
around. Yeah, there's a meme going around that I've shared, and it's like, well, this is one take. It's like, you don't have to admit you were wrong about him, but can we agree that you were lied to? We can agree you were lied to, because they have been lied to, And here's the thing: they know they've been lied to because he hasn't delivered on any of the promises, and they can't say that he has.
Right, America
They can't.
first, right? America
No, it
first.
isn't. It's actually last. And if here's an interesting bit of business that somebody pointed out to me in the middle of when he went to the Middle East, he had plenty of time to pal around with MBS and play up to Qatar and be happy to take the bribe plane. He's in the Middle East, and he was there for a few days. He was there for a while. Marco Rubio was there. They were all hanging out and falling asleep in public, and all that was fine. They didn't go to Israel, though. Interesting that he didn't go to Israel to hang out with his fellow war criminal, not Netanyahu, to kind of like go, how many Palestinians do we have left in Gaza before we can start building our hotels? And that's another thing to remind people about who were so convinced that it was the Democrats who were gleefully committing genocide. No.
I know. How you feel now?
No.
Right?
I mean, and
I still get messages. I don't know about you, but I get messages from like Democrats that are like, stop praising Genocide Joe and shit like that. Like, fuck off, Genocide Joe. How's your genocide going now, right?
Exactly. And I will tell you right now, if Kamala Harris was in the Oval Office, she would not be flattening Gaza to build hotels in
right.
there.
And
not be treating the Middle East like a monopoly board and wiping it clean so she could build, which is exactly what they're doing in Israel. And here I am, an American Jew, and we really haven't talked about this too much on the show, but I did have a conversation with my mom about this yesterday. My mom and I really haven't talked about this that much, and I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but my stepfather has voted for Trump now 3 times. And apparently every time he's not happy about this, he's not happy about this, I'm like, well, stop voting for him, fucker. But anyway, my mom and I talked about this, and we both agreed all the way, which is cool because we haven't really talked about it. But like, it's a multi-layered issue, and there's no obvious easy solution, because if there was, we would have solved it already. And it comes down to, I believe, and maybe it sounds naive, but I believe in the peaceful 2-state solution where you live there and you live there and everybody leaves each other alone to live in peace. However, that does not solve the problem of Hamas. And Hamas is the one who broke the peace treaty that they created and gave everybody that false sense of security in the region. And if anybody out there who has been complaining about this has a solution to end Hamas terrorism that Antony Blinken couldn't come up with, or Joe Biden couldn't come up with, or Kamala Harris couldn't come up with, or anyone else who is a national security expert could not come up with, I'm sure they would be delighted to listen to you. But what I can do as an American Jew is I can say, I do not agree with the Israeli government. It is not anti-Semitic for me to say that I do not agree with Benjamin Netanyahu. It is fully okay for me to say that. And it's also okay for me to say that killing a massive amount of people because you want land is wrong, regardless of who's doing it. Now people are throwing around the word Holocaust because Israel is like, just fucking get rid of them. And I'm going to be critical of that. I don't agree with that. I want the Israeli people and the Palestinian people to be able to live in peace without the threat of any terrorism. That's what I want. I think that's what anybody should want. There is not an easy solution for it, however. But I will tell you that if a Democrat was in the White House right now, they would not be helping make it worse, which is what Trump is doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a great thing to say, but because there's not an easy solution here to peace in the Middle East, and other presidents have tried, Jimmy Carter got the closest, it's frustrating, and it's infuriating, and it's upsetting, but at least Democrats would want to try to find a peaceful solution. Republicans don't care about a peaceful solution.
But it would never have happened if Trump was in there.
Bullshit.
I know. Of course it's bullshit. That's why I'm so sick of hearing him say
Hamas
shit like that.
would have blown them up regardless.
It would
they
never
would have
fractured
happened. The peace at any time. It wouldn't have mattered who was president of the United States.
Oh, I
would
hate
never
him.
have mattered to Hamas. Ever, ever, ever. They don't care. So don't ask terrorists to be thinking people. They just want to blow everything up and
Well,
take
I
over
mean,
everything.
Trump
It
is
has
just
nothing to do
palling
with
around, right? He's palling around with the terrorists. I mean, who funded Hamas? Who,
so
it was
there
the
you go.
Saudis. You know, the last time
And why
the Saudis sent us a plane, it went into the World Trade Center, right?
that's
I mean,
correct.
the Saudis,
So
I mean, it was like they openly, well, apparently, according to source, like whatever, the reporting that the Saudi Arabia funded up to half of the Hamas budget. Well, I guess they have an accounting
and there's
firm.
Trump
But
palling around with them.
yeah.
There's Trump. There's Kristi Noem in
Mm-hmm.
Bahrain on Memorial Day staging photo ops
She's a
with
dirtbag, too.
Saudi murderers, right?
Uh-huh.
Because nothing says let's honor the sacrifice of our military on Memorial Day
Yeah.
than staging a photo op with, you know, the
Yeah.
Saudis.
Yeah,
Thanks,
with people.
Kristi.
Yeah.
Riding a
Who-
camel and driving
Yeah.
a like, what the fuck is she doing there?
Well, I mean,
she doing there?
they're in a literal, they lord over a literal handmaid's tale, and it's a cesspool for human rights, I don't know, violations is putting it mildly, but it's a disgusting, backwards ass country of, it's a
it is.
monarchy where the people are just, treated like shit. But that is what Trump and the Republicans are building here. Make no mistake. I'm telling people, listen, they're rolling us back. They're rolling back not just the New Deal, they're rolling back the American Revolution. Don't be
That's right.
fooled. That's exactly what they're doing. Just know them by their fruits. Know them by what they're doing. They're attacking everything that this is why I wish the Democrats would take this message and get it out there. They're attacking
That'd be
the
great.
pillars of democracy. Everything. Project 2025. When they go after the Department of Education, the Democrats have to say, there they go again, attacking the pillars of democracy. You need
They
an
are,
educated
though.
populace. Yes, everything. Yeah, it's
Yes, did
all
you
about
see-
dismantling democracy. Yep.
It is. It was from a couple of days ago, and I saw it on Instagram. But Madeline Dean was questioning the wrestling lady,
Oh,
Linda
really?
McMahon, who's taken over the Department of Education. And Madeline Dean is rightfully mad, and she is saying, "Why are you taking away all of these things that children need?
Yeah.
Why would you dismantle this department? Why would you do this? Why would you do this to children who live in poverty and get school lunches? Why would you take these programs away from children?" And Linda McMahon is like, "Well, no, what we're doing is this, and I want
Oh,
I want
yes.
to make sure that my legacy. I want to make sure that
Fuck
my
you.
legacy is one where my grandchildren and my great grandchildren get the possible." And Madeline Dean is like, "It's not about you." It was
Uh-huh.
awesome. It was awesome. So there are reasons to feel hopeful about Democrats pushing back, because Democrats are pushing back. They're not just sitting there rolling
That's
over
good.
and taking it every time. It's, little by little we're getting there. And again, we're also starting to see some pushback from Republicans. Maybe not in the way we want them to, but I'll take what we can get. I mentioned this before we went on the air, but there are 2 Republican senators who are not happy right now about the quote unquote big beautiful bill, which is the big bullshit bill. Some are calling it the big ugly bill. I call it the big bullshit bill, because within that bill are, I don't know, Trump can just arbitrarily cancel elections. I'm sorry, what? No, thank you, please. Among all of the other things that you think that the bill is about, there are things buried in there that are just ridiculous. Like, people who own tanning beds can get a tax cut, but people who need a cancer bed are going to be left to die because they're cutting Medicare and Medicaid. So they're 2 of the biggest Russian assets in the Senate, in the party, are speaking out against Trump, against his bill, and against his tariffs, and against him personally. Ron Johnson and Rand Paul. Ron Johnson is furious about this bill. Furious. Speaking out very strongly about it, saying how terrible it is and is going to kill people. He says those words out loud. It is going to kill Americans.
Good. I'm glad he's saying it.
Rand Paul is saying somebody needs to stand up and scream, "The emperor has no clothes." Now, we've been doing that since the escalator.
Mm-hmm.
Rand Paul and his father Ron Paul would be living inside Putin's alimentary canal right now if they could. They all but do. Rand Paul hand-delivered a love note from Donald Trump to Vladimir Putin on July 4th, 20. We all remember that.
We don't know what was in it. That's the truth.
We don't know what was in it.
Yep.
We also don't know that time that he went to Helsinki and had the private meeting with Putin and there was a translator, but we never got the transcript from the translator.
I mean,
that'd be cool to have.
Oh, no, he confiscated it. That's what happened. That's why I always ask the Republicans, how come they never scream about where's the well, actually, this is what the Democrats, this is why I mean, come on, Dems, give me a break here. Just listen.
Where is it?
But what the Democrats should do is say, where's the transcript? What happened to the transcript? Where's the transcript? Like the
where's it
now? Republicans
Where is it right now?
Right? Well, what about the server? Let me see the server. What happened to the server? I mean, that's all we hear on the other side. Right. What happened to the laptop? Let's see the laptop. Like the Democrats never
produced.
Right, but the Democrats could do that similarly and say, where's the friggin' transcript? Who meets in secret with an anti-democratic foreign dictator without a translator? He was alone in the room. It was him,
There's
Putin,
nobody American in there but him.
Yeah, and the Russian translator for his ignorant ass, and he confiscated the transcript. Well, you think they were talking about making the world safe for democracy?
I don't think so.
I doubt it.
It's a weird way for an innocent and transparent person to behave. But when you have traitorous Russian bitch box of Ogilvy home perm Rand Paul saying the emperor has no clothes.
That's good.
Right now, the enemy of my enemy is not my friend, but at least he's saying the same things we're saying.
Oh, good.
That's all you need. You need one or two to start the conversation. Then you need, like a Tom Tillis to go, well, you know what? I was threatened. Joni Ernst threatened me if I didn't vote to pass Pete Hegseth, and now look where we are. Then you have someone, and he's a Democrat, but you have Chris Van Hollen telling Marco Rubio on the record, I regret my vote for you.
That's good. Yeah.
All the Democrats in the Senate voted for Rubio. All of them, which is none of them should.
Well, it's supposed to be, bipartisan. They're being bipartisan and reasonable.
It is not. No. From day one, you should have known this was not going to be normal. And the fact that you thought it was going to be anything close to what it was last time is really naive of any congressional Democrat. But here we are now. And, there's a million things that we could be talking about. But the biggest thing to go back to what we should be talking about is Donald Trump's mental health decline. Should be the top story. Push that to the the shit that they're doing to try to kill Americans. Those two, I think, are the biggest of the stories, which is why we can't keep getting distracted by the little side pieces of Donald Trump doing stuff like Pete Hegseth making mistakes or whatever. Somebody tweeted an AI of Pete Hegseth doing something making it look like he was doing something on Memorial Day when it was something from something else. And the AI is the devil. Yeah. AI is the devil that can change. I mean, it can change so many things, and it makes it. And that's another reason why MAGA loves the AI, because they can manipulate, and change, and rewrite our history. And, they can say bullshitty things.
Well, they've been doing that for years. They used to go on Wikipedia and change. I mean, this is what the Republicans are up to for years. They go in
because they hate the truth.
Yeah, and they would go in and change Wikipedia. That's what would happen in these Republican think tanks like the Heritage Foundation and the the what were the other ones? Their names are escaping me, but you know what I mean. They have these massive budgets. What are they doing all day? They're like I said, they're not making the world safe for democracy. They would hire people that would not only post on blogs, but would change Wikipedia constantly. So,
it's ridiculous.
I know. They ruin everything. They ruin it.
the manipulation of the media and the way they have changed the way people absorb information is
Yep,
just it's astonishing.
that's it.
But it's
Yeah.
also Russian propaganda 101,
Yep.
and it's the
Yep.
slow boil. And what ends up happening, and it happens over and over again, which is why I'm so grateful that we're here, because you'll hear stuff that I have not heard about. I'll hear stuff that you haven't heard about. As dialed in as we both are,
Yeah.
there are still things that can fall through the cracks. Here's a big bit of information that I learned yesterday, and I forget what account I saw it on. But they found somebody learned that Donald Trump is supposed to receive a daily briefing,
Oh,
presidential daily briefing. It is the most important thing that he is supposed to do every
Yeah.
single day. This is what's happening. He has apparently only been briefed 12 times, or has only read the brief
Yeah.
12 times since January 20th. 12.
Uh-huh.
How many days has it been? He's supposed to read it every day. So if he's not reading the daily briefing, does that mean they're not creating a daily
No,
briefing?
they don't give a shit. He probably gets a list of how much money he's accumulated overnight.
No, I don't even.
That's
I
it.
mean, who knows what he's getting and what he's seeing and what he's being told? And then the question comes to: is anyone generating a daily briefing? If so, who?
Who's giving them?
And then
Right.
who-
I mean, they're all
who's
clowns.
seeing it?
They don't know
Because
what
by
the fuck
the
they're
time-
doing.
Right.
Mhm.
By the time Caroline Leavitt is lying to the press in the press room, Trump has no idea what she's talking about because he
Right.
hasn't received a daily briefing. He has no idea. She doesn't know what's going on in the world. She flat out doesn't know anything.
Oh yeah,
I'm
she's
shocked
just a babe
she's
in arms.
lasted this long. This is
Well,
a lot more Scaramucci's than
uh-huh.
we thought she was going to last.
Oh, yeah,
But-
that's true.
It's because she's cute and blonde, and she likes to.
Well, he's not getting rid of people like the last time because he.
Not yet.
Yeah, well, that's something that they had. He said originally, according to whatever I read, saying that because he was embarrassed the first time about getting rid of people, so now he's holding on to them, regardless of what they do. I mean, look at Pete Hegseth.
Right.
He's
Exactly.
He's
So
unfit. They're all
embarrassing.
unfit. Like
All of them.
Kash Patel, they're not even in the office. He's out at
No.
strip clubs and bars
Yep.
and shit like that.
He's
So,
on his grinder date.
oh my God.
What
It's-
is and they're doing CPAC right now, but the
Oh,
CPAC is
again?
in
It never
Poland.
stops.
But it's in Poland. They are in Poland. So if you go to Twitter right now and you check the CPAC trend, most of the tweets about it are in Polish. Matt Schlapp is there. I'm sure he changed his grinder setting to Warsaw so he can find young men to grope while he's at CPAC in Poland. But that's an interesting location, don't you think?
well,
Why
I mean,
would they be in
They
Poland?
go to these backsliding democracies on purpose. It wasn't last time, but one of the more recent times they went to Viktor Orban's Hungary. So, and
Right.
they love him. They are really following that playbook. So they look
They
to it
put
for
the
inspiration.
dick in dictator.
Mhm. Well, dictator
But if it-
envy. Dictator
Yeah,
envy.
dictator
Yes.
envy.
Dick envy.
Dictaster.
Yeah.
That's actually what they're doing at CPAC.
Yeah.
It's a dictator.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because Schlapp tweeted, "Let's win Poland." Win what? What are we winning? What are we winning?
Well, there's a
Schlappy?
presidential
Happy Schlappy.
there's a runoff. There's an election taking place over there
Yeah, but-
with a
and who are
liberal
you
between between
a liberal and a right and a
Yeah.
far right.
and a fascist.
Guess what?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's super great. Awesome. So they send Newt Gingrich wannabe over to Poland, and that's what Matt Schlapp is like. Newt Gingrich, just like a few years behind. I don't see, and maybe Newt Gingrich doesn't grope young men. He just cheats on wives when they're dying of cancer.
Well,
but
he's gross.
They're all disgusting. They're all disgusting. But I would say that Mercedes Schlapp is the biggest beard in Washington D.C. I would say that, and I have said that, and she blocked me for saying that. So she blocked me back in 2016. Yeah. So anyway,
That's
I
good.
just all. But why? I would say I would put up if I was trying to really go after MAGA. If I was someone who woke up every day going, "Who am I going to fuck with today?" Which is not how I wake up. I would show them a picture of Matt Schlapp and be like, "Why this? Why are you good with this?" I love that the Photoshop that Kash Patel made of himself. where it's like the
What is?
leather with the
Oh
with
yes, it's so
the
it
camel
says it
toe,
all. Yeah,
and
Freud would have a field day
sticking the
with.
sticking my boot up the deep state's ass. No, you're not. You're
No,
like
honey,
the
you're
deep
just
state is what
begging
you
for
call
it.
your butthole. That's what you call it. Put this up the deep state.
Yeah, he just needs the arms of a big, strong man around him, and then
You
he can
know,
weep, and I'm such an asshole. Why can't I be myself?
you can. That's the thing too.
That's the
I would
problem.
say if I had a direct line to Lindsey Graham, and by the way, when you call Lindsey Graham's office, nobody in the entire time I have ever tried to call Lindsey Graham throughout the years, no human has ever answered. It always goes right to the voicemail. But anyway, the confirmed Southern Bachelor. I mean, just come out.
Oh,
Just come
please, I
out
know.
already. You must be so exhausted. Lindsey Graham has
is.
been blackout drunk, living at the bottom of a pitcher of slow gin fizzes on a fainting couch in a closet since 2017. He has got to be so exhausted from between the self-loathing and
Yeah.
kissing up to Trump and not being able to live truthfully.
Yeah.
It's just
And
that has to be
crying on
so-
TV
and
about
just
Trump.
the man is gone. Whatever he
horrible.
was, gone. And same with Marco Rubio. Just come out. Come
Mhm.
out and live your truth. You will feel better about it. And by the way, Democrats will accept you. They
Yeah.
will accept you immediately. If you tell us who you are, we're going to say, great. That's great.
Yeah,
Guess
say,
what?
have a
We
nice
support
life.
you.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. We support you having a marriage, and like Scott Bessent has a marriage to a man, and they have children together, just like Pete Buttigieg, except Republican. So, but it's okay because it's Scott Bessent.
Yes.
It's not okay when it's Pete Buttigieg. I get it.
Well,
I get it. It's all the hypocrisy. That's fine.
Mhm.
But again, if we're not the ones calling it out, then no one is.
how,
that's
how
our
I mean, I feel
responsibility.
bad for Scott Bessent's husband. They must both be
Don't feel bad. They're-
self-loathing
th-
freaks. Yeah.
No, I mean, you then start asking the question: are you a husband and a father, or are you a Trumper? Like, what are you?
Mm.
What is the most important thing about who you are, Scott Bessent?
Like who-
Seriously, what comes first for you? Your own children are going to suffer from the policies that you're helping Trump implement.
Mhm.
In one way or another, whether it's the vaccinations or it's the health care or it's the clean air, water, that they're not gonna do any food safety inspections anymore. Is there some MAGA food supply that we're not
No.
gonna know about? Are there hidden silos
No.
somewhere
I hope
filled
they all get.
with Twinkies and Mountain Dew for you? I mean,
Yeah.
and endless McDonald's for you. Is that what's happening to your food supply? Is your food supply different from mine? Because I don't think it is.
No.
And so, are we gonna have to
America
boil
first.
all of our food before we
We
eat
might.
it now?
We might boil our food,
fine.
boil it all, right? It's just,
I
well,
mean,
this is America first,
But seriously,
right?
if you think about what they're talking about when they're talking about rolling back protections on food, and they are not
They've done it,
gonna
yeah. Mhm.
they're not gonna inspect your food for bacteria. So do you want your food full of rat feces?
Well,
Because that's what would be. And there's feces and listeria and airborne hantavirus and who knows what could be in your food.
well,
and
and
also
a lot of other
you're-
things. Hmm.
Right, in the food, in the water, in the air. Think about this though. Your pet food. MAGA people have
Oh,
dogs.
God.
They apparently don't have cats. That's just for us because we're crazy cat ladies.
Mm.
But MAGA people who have animals, MAGA people who are farmers, are going to need feed. Where's that coming from? What about that food supply? What happens if all the birds get the flu and die? My cats eat an exclusive chicken-based diet. What happens if all the chickens die? My cats
They
will
don't
die.
care.
They don't care.
This is
They don't
about
care if their
rolling
own
back.
people die.
Yeah, this
That's
is
what I don't
about
get.
rolling back the American Revolution. We're going back to the Dark Ages. And the Dark Ages, everyone had parasites, by the way. So,
Great.
and that, I mean, they've done many, when they do the studies on people who lived hundreds of years ago, that was one of the common ailments. You just had a parasite. That's it. You just had parasites because there was no food inspection. It goes, and
Right.
it's something that plagued humanity for thousands of years. You would just
Until
have
refrigeration and
Right,
pasteurization and
and
science.
Yes, and inspecting the foods and standards.
Right.
It's just so
Right.
fucking. I hate these people. They have no
It's
standards. Their standards are in
none.
the
It's
sewer, and they're just their standards are how can I get more? How can I get more power, more money?
right.
How can I?
Right.
I mean, they don't.
It doesn't matter who
doesn't make
suffers. It doesn't
sense.
matter
Yeah.
who dies. That's what they want, though, right? They're still. I still believe that they're trying to thin the herd and get rid of the sick and
Yeah,
the dying and the
that's
weak
true.
and
Like
replace them with
Elon
the white
Musk.
babies. Right? They want to replace them with the white babies that Elon Musk will pay them $5,000 a pop for
Yeah.
every white baby or
That's
whatever,
it.
which is a little Hitlery. Just a
Well,
little
it's
bit,
Clive
a little lot
Yarvin,
Hitlery.
right? That's who
Yes,
they all
yes, and
they
they-
look up to, right?
right?
Clive Yarvin, the fascist.
Which is Curtis.
oh, Curtis. Why do
Yarvin.
I always say Clive? Curtis Yarvin.
I don't
yeah,
know.
Yeah,
Because
I don't
Clive
know.
Bundy.
Yeah,
Clive
I don't
Clive
know.
Bundy?
I always say Clive. Yes, Curtis
I don't-
Yarvin. Curtis.
They're just fucking morons, and I'm now reaching a point where I almost want, like you wrote about Joe Rogan and the COVID bullshit that he's still pushing.
Yes,
and we
I
were
can't
talking
bel-
about this earlier, and like RFK Jr. literally said, "No vaccine is safe." Well, that's not true because RFK Jr. is not currently in an iron lung, which means your polio
Right.
vaccine is safe.
Neither is Mitch
RFK Jr.
McConnell, right?
Right.
mean,
Neither is
mhm.
Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is not in an iron lung. Joe Rogan doesn't seem to have lockjaw, unfortunately. So he's got his dip tet,
Oh, I
as
hate
does
these people.
RFK Jr.
Yeah.
They don't have measles. So they've been I guarantee RFK Jr. has been vaccinated against every
Of course
fucking
well
thing.
that's what his sister said, that he's a freaking
Oh.
unabashed hypocrite because all of his kids and himself they were all vaccinated, so
Of course.
I mean,
So
how else can they
it's the
swim in
hypocrisy
sewer?
of that. Right, exactly.
They swim in the
So-
sewer. It looks. I don't
So-
see any germs. That's what That's what Pete
No.
Hegseth said, right? I haven't
I
washed
don't
my
see any
hands and
germ.
well, because he said he doesn't wash his hands after he goes to the
Oh,
bathroom
he's
because
the one
he
that
doesn't
said
s-
that. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
because
disgusting.
he
That's
doesn't see any
disgusting.
germs. So
You know what? You can't see gravity, but you know it's real. Like
well,
you
that's. I
feel
think
it.
that's just Jesus holding you down to the.
It's
so.
Jesus holding you tight.
And then when
holding
Jesus
you
lets
tight.
go, they can all rapture the fuck out of
We
here.
can rapture.
and leave us
man, How many
alone.
times have they promised that they
That
were going to
would-
rapture
I
away
know.
and leave the rest of us heathens to the earth? That would be the greatest thing ever.
It would.
I welcome the rapture. We're not going anywhere.
No,
They
it
can
would
go.
be the most patriotic thing
man.
they could ever do
God, that'd be
for
amazing.
humanity.
Wouldn't it?
Yes.
How many times? How many times have they promised us the world was going to end or the rapture was going to come and they were all going to leave in their special fancy sneakers or whatever on the comet? I don't know. I don't know who's coming. But what I do is
Hail
just,
Bop.
you
That
know,
was the Heaven's Gate cult.
Hail Bop, a boop, a boop, hail Bop. It's just the stupidity and the groupthink cult mentality and what they don't want to believe, and it's like the way that they continue to live with their heads in the sand. And we touched on this a little bit before we went on the air because we talked about this yesterday on Hal's show. Anybody who's here with us in the chat today, thank you for being here, by the way. Yesterday on Hal's show, we went back, we circled back to the Epstein thing only because MAGA's running out of stuff to be like unified, mad about, and making demands for, right? Because they can't, and they need a big old distraction from the fact that Donald Trump hasn't delivered on all the day one promises, because he hasn't, right? And they can't answer for that. So it's like, oh, Joe Biden mental decline. No, Donald Trump's mental decline. Thank you very much.
I know.
That's what we're going to talk about. But they are still screaming, demanding the full release of the Epstein files. Like every day, I see MAGA influencers going, where are the Epstein files? Where are the Epstein files? And so there was somebody who tweeted about it the other, like one of their big influencers, and I tweeted something, and I responded with, why did you vote for a convicted felon who was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years? And people went trigger crazy insane. Like the responses on that, like I got ratioed on it because I asked for it. But it's a valid question. That's the question I'm asking now, because he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 25 years. He was friends with Jeffrey Epstein until he died. There was never a falling out. That was a manufactured story. And Donald Trump flew around on the repainted Lolita Express last year when he was campaigning. These are all truthful things, and Hal and I went through all of it. And I invited the MAGA people. I'm like, I'm about to be on Hal's show. I'll make sure we talk about this. And if you don't want to believe me, maybe you'll believe Hal because he's a boy and he speaks truthfully. I don't know if they showed up in the chat or not, but the point is that I reshared the Epstein Files excerpt, and Hal made this amazing point that was one of these like aha moments where I was like, where was this point all along? But kids in the chat, I want you to take this with you and pay it forward the next time someone trolls you over Epstein Files. Because we talked about the day that all of the right-wing influencers were dancing around with the binder full of redacted Epstein Files just a little while back. And Pam Bondi was like, they're coming. We're releasing the Epstein Files. This is it. And everyone was like, yeah, let's get it. Let's get Bill Clinton. We're finally going to find out what Bill Clinton did. It's all about Bill Clinton. And they're dancing around with these binders, and they're like, wait a minute. Why is this all blacked out? So what they started saying was, the stuff about Bill Clinton must be so bad.
Oh,
and it's like,
okay. That's how they justify it.
No. And what Hal said, and what was because you're mad about so many things all at the same time. The point is, everything that's redacted, everything that's behind those black lines is about Donald Trump.
Yes.
Or else Pam Bondi would have happily released it. If it was about Bill Clinton or Bill Gates or Prince Andrew or anybody not named Donald Trump, there would be no blackouts. But because it was all blacked out, that is stuff about Trump.
Of course it is.
Stop asking. Because if you ever get a fully redacted Epstein Files, you're not going to like it. I don't know why Democrats aren't demanding the redacted Epstein Files.
Yeah. Right.
Well, that's what they say about the excerpt that I've
Right.
recorded. So, I shared it yet again. I wrote about it again today on the Political Voices Substack. I told, when you want the truth, but you also want the full story and the facts, but you're too lazy to Google it, go listen to Hal Sparks, because he'll tell you the whole full story. He has all of the information.
Well,
he's a
years
liberal.
And dates. He's a libtard. Yeah,
But the truth is the truth, and the
well,
truth
I know.
is
The
truth is
it doesn't make any sense.
I know, but the truth is that Ron DeSantis got mad that he got pushed out of being able to campaign in 2024, and he got a little bit of revenge on Donald Trump, and the way he did it was to order a Florida judge to declassify a cache of the Epstein files that contained Katie Johnson's testimony, which I recorded myself with my voice and put it up there, and I've shared it I don't even know how many times, and the media all basically ignored it. I think Joy Reid talked about it one time, Ted Lieu talked about it one time at a press conference. No one ever followed up, and I don't know why, because they are there. It's there. If I found it and it's on the internet and other people have seen it and other people have verified it, because it's Katie Johnson's testimony, I don't know why it's not bigger. I don't know why it's not. Because it came out before the election. It came out before Joe Biden stepped aside. It should have been a huger thing, and yet it wasn't.
Well, that's
and so
the Democrats. They should have taken it.
They can still demand it. They can still demand a redacted Epstein files. They don't. That doesn't mean you'll get it. But what you can do is ask the question, what's behind those black lines? Because it's not about a Democrat, because if it was, you would have shared it. What's behind those black lines? What are you so worried about the world seeing? It's got to be about Trump. Got to be about Trump. Any Democrat going on the record asking that would be great. So that's something that everybody can do. Everybody who's in the chat, you're on social medias. Tara and I are both on Blue Sky. We're both on Twitter. I mean, I'm on Instagram. It's Tara Dublin Rocks 1, the number 1 on Instagram. But it's my first pinned post on Instagram. Is my voice doing that, and everyone can share it. It's public.
Right. It's not what you're talking about, actually, is what I'm looking it up. That Ron Johnson, why am I saying Ron Johnson? Anyway.
We were talking
about
it.
Just said it. Yeah. But Ron DeSantis declassified the deposition, the grand jury documents, not the. I guess is that the Epstein files? But
it's part of the Epstein files, because it's like one of those like addendums or
from the Florida,
because it involves victim testimony.
I see. From
So
the
it
Florida
is
investigation, that's the only, I guess, the only files or whatever
because
he had
that's his
access to.
jurisdiction.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
So
yeah.
he can do that, but he could have demanded that in New York. Anybody, like someone in New York, could demand it in New York. So it was done, and it was done by Ron DeSantis, who nobody talks about this. Nobody ever pins it on him. I don't know why, because that's like a small heroic moment for tiny little man, for Jack Boots McFlorida. No one talks about that, but this is real. It's real testimony. It's real victim testimony, and nobody in the MAGA cult wants to believe me because I'm saying it. But the truth is the truth, regardless of whether you like it or not. And the truth is the truth. If what I shared, if somebody shared that on Newsmax or Fox, it would still be true. Whether I share it or Newsmax is not going to, but that's the point. So it's our responsibility to share it across social media platforms and post it when you see someone in the mainstream media who's at it, post it to theirs. Like every time Caitlin Collins tweets something about something that's even close, like anything about Pam Bondi or anything that gets close to them, like, why didn't you do this? Why haven't you asked about this? And she never responds.
Right.
But again, most of the time no answer is your answer. It's just like when I tell a MAGA person, go Google Trump campaign Lolita Express, 4 words. And then they never come back because that's an indisputable fact.
Right.
That's what he did. He flew around on the repainted Lolita Express towards the end of his campaign. That's what he did. It's a truth. You don't think that has something to do with the fact that he's still somehow connected to Jeffrey Epstein's estate? How else would he have gotten the plane if they weren't friends until the end? So for me, it's a personal thing for me only because I get frustrated when people don't believe me.
Well, but I see, this is the thing. That's why I don't think the Democrats and people are touching it, because I think that the Epstein files, just being, the Epstein files, it seems like, the X files or something. And it's this whole thing, this whole enterprise, the whole scandal, let's say, is kind of going, it's already in the realm of conspiracy, because, and that's how I think it's become something that mainstream outlets don't want to touch, Democrats don't want to touch, because you'll immediately get into, he didn't kill himself, or things like that. And
that's if you allow yourself to get distracted by the external, the satellite arguments.
But that's how they denigrate it, and that's, you know what I mean? And it's like, we don't want to touch that. I don't want to seem like a kook. That's really what I believe is why they're not,
maybe it's that.
It.
Maybe some of them are concerned that there'll be stuff in there about Bill Clinton that they won't be able to reconcile.
Well, they would.
But again, I'll say that those lines being so redacted really indicate more towards Trump, because had her hands on them, right?
Yeah, but what's her name? Virginia Dupree, who just recently unalived herself, and that's the other thing. They say that she wasn't. She didn't commit suicide. She was killed, and that's another thing that's going around.
Any conspiracy,
but she says she did speak. She was directly asked about Bill Clinton, and she said yes, he was there, he was around, but he was not part of the sexual abuse. So, and she would have said
and
that. Why wouldn't she if that were the case?
And remember and as several people pointed out in the chat, when it comes to something like this, prove that it didn't happen. You have to prove it didn't happen, because here's the victim testimony, and you're saying that it didn't happen. Prove it. The burden of proof is on you to prove that Trump is innocent of doing any of this, because no one else has been able to provide that. And am I hearing the closing music already?
Yes, you are.
Wow.
Yes.
It is. I'm telling you, lightning fast. The fastest hour of podcasting on the internet, because the truth comes hard and fast, unlike Donald Trump. Anyway, Oh, ouch! Sorry, I did not mean to do that, but I did. But I didn't. All right. Anyway, my friends, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support of the Tara Show. We hope you'll be back with us on Thursday, same time, same Tara channel. Follow both of us on the socials. Sign up for our Substacks. And please buy my book, The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story, available now at TaraDublinRocks.com. Because unlike Jake Tapper's lying crap book, it doesn't say anything bad about Joe Biden. So keep it real. Be good to yourselves. Get out there and hold Democrats and Republicans accountable. And we will see you back here on Thursday.
All right, guys. Thank you, Jim, for being a moderator. And
thanks, Jim.
We'll see you on Thursday. Follow our Substacks. See you soon.